I want to liberate you from your job, from this prison that you call a job, of this place you go to every day from 9 to 5, and they tell you what to do, when to eat, when to even go to the bathroom, maybe. Sounds like a prison camp. And that's what you got. You got a job that is really a prison camp. I want to show you how to get out of that. Listen, if you've got a job, I'm not knocking a job. You need a job. You need a job to pay your bills, to eat food, and do all that stuff. However, there's a particular mindset shift that you need to have in order to transition to having at least a possibility of you being able to do this real estate business full time. And I had a degree in accounting, so I know exactly what you're going through if you have a job. Quickly, I realized that this accounting wasn't for me. I didn't do it properly. At the time, I was just living at home with my parents, so maybe I had a little bit more leeway than you do. Perhaps if you have a family and you have a lot of expenses and you've got a particular way of living that now is very difficult for you to just kind of jump ship. But because when I started as an accountant and then I quit my job, I did it without having any sort of cushion, and I suffered tremendously. I remember having my car repossessed, and that was a really a tragic thing at the time. It was good, but at the end, it wasn't the best thing to happen to me. And so I know what it's like to go and just go without a parachute. I don't want you to do that. And so what I want to do here is that if you are interested in becoming a real estate investor, and specifically, just so you know, my strategy is around virtual wholesaling. I'm considered the godfather of virtual wholesaling. I created the whole concept of virtual wholesaling, where we're going out and flipping real estate contracts, but we're doing that virtually, where we never have to meet with a seller or buyer or personally inspect any properties. And our favorite strategy for doing that is using Facebook advertising to be able to find motivated sellers that are willing to sell us a property at a discount. I'll provide some additional links in the description if you want to know more about that. So let's talk about, though, how do we quit our job? First of all, I believe that real estate is the best opportunity for anyone out there that's looking to get a business started. Because if you think about all the different options that are out there, number one is I look for something that is enduring, something that is going to be good today, but also is going to last over the long term. And real estate has been around forever, and it's going to continue to be around forever. And so if you spend time to learn and understand real estate investing, and especially wholesaling, which is just flipping the contracts, is a great way to get started. But real estate can be part of your life for the next 20 or 30 or 40 years. Yes, you can have other businesses that you're operating and opportunities that you're taking advantage of. But at the end of the day, I think that real estate should be one of these things that is part of your life. And so that's the reason why I'm big on using real estate as a way to get started out of your job. Also, if you're looking at any other type of business, most businesses require a certain amount of upfront capital. You take, for example, if you're going to go out and start some sort of franchise, that's a lot of money you have to put up in order to do that. And with real estate, that's not the case. You can get started with very little money, very little risk or credit, and that's why I recommend real estate. And obviously, you're here watching me, so you're interested in real estate investing. I'm looking at my sheet of things that I didn't want to forget to tell you. Now, let's talk about the first thing, the first step in you getting to that point of possibility of being able to quit your full-time job. And the first step is your mindset. You have to flip your mindset, because now you live in existence of doing everything. Your life revolves around your job, and your life cannot revolve around your job. Your life has to revolve around that thing that's going to get you out of your job. And so that's real estate as an example. So with real estate, then now your job, now it becomes secondary. You're not saying that you're going to do stuff to get you fired, or you're going to do stuff that you're going to underperform, but your whole world starts to now have to revolve around real estate. Not only and your whole world, when I say that, I mean both your personal life and your business life. Everything is now revolving. The center of the universe is this real estate business that you're trying to create and you're trying to grow. So what do I mean by that? That means, for example, that during your lunch break, where maybe you might get together with your colleagues and be able to sit down and have a lunch together and, shoot the breeze, etc. You're not going to do that anymore. You're going to have lunch at your desk, pack a lunch, and you're going to do work related to the business that's the most important thing, which is your real estate business. If you've got friends that invite you on a Friday night or a Saturday to go watch a game, you might have to say no to them. Why? Because the most important thing is your real estate business, and so you're going to have to make some sacrifices in the meantime. So that leads me into the next topic, which is hard work. Look, a lot of people out there will say to you that, hey, you can get started. It's so easy. It's so simple. Not a big deal. And the fact of the matter is, I always give this particular analogy. You have to think of things in terms like a car. You get into a car every single morning, you put the key in the ignition and you drive. And the whole process of you putting the car on park and going through that process, it's a very simple process. However, if you take the lid, if you not the lid, but if you take the hood out of the car and you open it up and you look inside, you see that there is a very complex set of things that are happening there behind the scenes to make that simple act of the car moving you and taking you to work happen. And that's how you have to think of it. So yes, flipping contracts and wholesaling real estate is a very simple business. However, don't underestimate the complexity and the amount of work required in order to make this business work. It's like an airplane taking off the ground. It's going to use the most amount of fuel as it's taking off the ground. Once it reaches a particular altitude, then at that point, then you're going to be able to take and use less fuel. And many times when we go out there and we see so many people having success and it seems so easy, and then you get frustrated because of the fact that you're not seeing that sort of easy type of result. You're not taking into consideration all the time and energy and effort that they spent all the way up to this point in order to make that happen. And so you got to be prepared for the hard work, and it is going to be the hardest work you have ever done in your life. And you have to think of it as that it's going to be the hardest work that you have ever done in your life, and that's okay because your life depends on the amount of work and effort that you're going to have to put into this thing. So one point of clarification about hard work is that there's two types of hard work. The easy part of hard work is where you're going to put in the hours that you easily have available to you. So let's say that on a Saturday afternoon or Saturday morning, you have available between 9 and 12 that you can sit down and do this business, as an example. So it's easy for you to say, you know what, Saturday mornings, I got some free time, I'm going to go ahead and get that done. Now, that's the easy hard work. The hard work is when you have to squeeze and you have to find and you have to extract the moments of time throughout your day that you have to be so intensely focused that about this business and about getting it off the ground, and that you have to find all these pockets of time where there is no time. So for example, it could be that you get up early in the morning, 30 minutes before you have to go to work. And it might be that you might work on your business. It might be that you might get up 30 minutes before you head to the office at your regular job to drive around the different neighborhoods and to pick up some property so you can drive for dollars. It can mean that you're going to pack your lunch and you're not going to eat out because you're trying to save some money so that you can spend on marketing, but you're also at the same time looking to spend whatever available time you have in your real estate business. So the same thing when you're getting off work and you're heading home, you're going to go ahead and take 30 minutes and drive by some neighborhoods, drive by some areas, pick up some additional properties that you could then reach out to the owners because the properties look really dilapidated. And that's called driving for dollars. And you can find a video for that on my channel. And it could be that, when you put the kids to bed at night, you are going to, instead of you sitting down on your TV set and watching some Netflix or just chit-chatting away, yes, you're going to spend a little bit of time maybe with your significant other, but you're going to have to stay up late. And you might say, well, Chico, man, I need my sleep, man. I need my 8 hours of sleep. I would say you need to learn how to sleep less. You need to learn, I always say, sleep is practicing dead, and you don't need to practice. So I would say that you need to learn how to get away with less sleep. 6 hours a day is sufficient for most people. You can catch up in the morning, you can catch up in the weekends, maybe have some extra cups of coffee during the week, during the day in order to be able to get you through that day. But you don't have the liberty of of sleeping for 8 hours, especially not on the weekend either. Really, so no, don't catch up on sleep on the weekend. You're not allowed to catch up on sleep on the weekend. Friends tell you, you know what? Let's get together and hang out. Let's go have dinner. Let's go hang out and watch the game. It doesn't matter. Your answer by default has to say no. Has to say no to everything, because you have got to create in your schedule, in your daily life. You have to be able to go from this time that you think you have available to now increasing to this amount of time. And there are going to be some hard decisions. You may have to have a decision in a conversation with your wife or significant others. Might have to let your kids know that, you know what, Daddy is going to be spending a little bit more time here, because I want to be able for us to go on nice vacations and enjoy our time together and really have nicer things. But I'm only going to be able to do that if I can have the time to work on this business that I know is going to be able to give us the financial rewards that we need. And so those are all tough decisions that you have to make, but you have to be prepared for it. If you tell me that, look, Chico, I want to make this business work, but man, I just want to work 5 hours a week, I'm going to tell you, you're just wasting your time. Just keep on working your full-time job, because it's not going to get you anywhere. You need a lot of time in order to be able to do this business. The reason I say all these things is because many times I find that people are unprepared for the task at hand. They're unprepared to go to battle when it comes to, really, if you think about it, this is the battle of your life, the battle of your future. And you have to be prepared for the amount of work required. And it's not going to be easy. I always say that people are many times digging 6-foot wells looking for water, but the water is like 20 feet deep. And if you don't know of what you have ahead of you, then you really are wasting your time. And you're going to set yourself up for disappointment and failure. And eventually you're going to be 5 years down the road thinking, why did I not make this work? Not realizing that you never had a chance to making it work. Now let's talk about strategy, because let's bring it down to a more tactical level. One of the most important things is you got to be able to pick the right strategy for your particular situation. And that means that you have to pick, first of all, I always say that you should focus on one strategy only. And you could also have a secondary complementary strategy, but you have to be focused on one thing and one thing only in order to be able to make this work. Now, I'll give you an example. Let's say that you work a full-time job and your job is between 9 and 7, 9 and 6, 9 and 5. So a strategy that people use out there is cold calling, where they get a list of owners and you're going to go ahead and make phone calls. In order to get that strategy to be effective for you, you need to make a significant amount of calls on a daily, weekly basis. You need to spend a certain amount of hours on the phone. Many times that's at least 10, 15, 20 hours a week in order for you to have that strategy to be viable for you. But if you work a job that's 9 to 5, when are you going to find the time to make those calls? It's going to be very difficult. Now, granted, making calls is cheaper than, say, sending out direct mail or maybe running Facebook ads. But in your scenario, you don't have time in your schedule to be able to sit on the phone and prospect. If you have time in the afternoon after you get off from work, then your time that you have available is for dealing with viable seller leads, viable prospects that have raised their hands and said, I am interested in selling. And now you're going to reach out to them, whether that be in the morning, whether that be in the during lunchtime, whether that be in the afternoon. And you've got to find those pockets of time. But if you have to spend time generating the lead and also at the same time working the lead, then if you have a full-time job, that's going to be very difficult. So you have to be okay with then spending money to generate leads. So that means that you have to, part of the process is looking at your budget, cutting away any and all expenses that are unnecessary for you to be able to have the budget to be able to spend money to generate motivated sellers and to have a chance at making this work. Now, let me go back to a comment that I made about having a complementary strategy. So let's say that you are using Facebook ads, which is my number one way to find motivated sellers. You can look in the description here. And let's say you're using Facebook ads. And naturally, you're going to have the opportunity to go and drive by some properties just simply because you're looking, you're analyzing, you're maybe meeting with some sellers, etc. So a complementary strategy to that would be driving for dollars, because you're already out in the neighborhood and you're just taking and piggybacking on something you're already doing, which is driving around looking at houses. So while you're there looking at the house, then what you're going to be doing is taking an extra 15 to 20 minutes driving around the whole area looking for houses that need a lot of work. And now when you get back home, you're going to go out and send letters. You can also skip trace. There's a video on my YouTube channel called Extreme Motivation Deals. I did an interview with Larry Higgins. Take a look at that. And that video will explain to you how to go out and really find hyper motivated sellers. You're not going to go out and try to target tens of thousands of people, just a very small number of people that you know have a chance, there's an airplane going above, I have a chance of being a deal. And now you're going to add that to the mix. The other thing that I think you may consider is a partner, a temporary partner. I'm not a big fan of long-term partnerships, but let's say that you are working a full-time job, and if you've got, this is what I encounter a lot, you have somebody that works a full-time job and they only have time pockets during the day. You're gonna get to the point where you're gonna have to call a seller in the afternoon. You're gonna have to call a seller when you're at work. You're gonna have to schedule a showing. You're gonna have to deal with a property closing or inspection or something like that. And you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're going to have a deal fall through because of the fact that you weren't able to handle that situation at the time it needed to get handled. So sometimes it might be a good idea for you to partner with somebody that you can split the deal, that you can give a percentage of the deal, because they might be your runner. There might be somebody that you can post on a Facebook group looking for somebody to help you out in that local market, and now you're going to be doing the deals with them. They're going to help you out in terms of the logistics on the ground and meeting with buyers and perhaps dealing with a title company. They're going to make some money. You're going to make some money. At the worst case, even if you have to give up 50% of the deal, okay, it's a deal that you would have never had. And because at the end of the day, the most important thing is for you to complete your first 1 to 3 deals. Once you complete your first 1 to 3 deals, that gives you the ability to understand the business as a whole, to understand all the moving pieces of the business, where everything falls in. And now at that point, things are going to get better. Things are going to get easier for you. But at the beginning, any way you have of putting a deal together is the most important thing that you can do. And it doesn't matter how much you make on a deal. Even if you make $1,000 on a deal, I don't care. Granted, we're not in this business to make $1,000 a deal, but in the beginning, even if it's just that, I guarantee you that is worth an education more so than any course or seminar that you would ever purchase, or a seminar that you would attend. I'm not the type of person to make videos like this. I consider this more of like a motivation mindset, right? I'm not good at that. Why? Because I'm gonna tell you what to do, and you do it. And if you don't do it, I'm gonna say, "What's going on? Come on, just get your butt in gear and do what you need to do, and just get it done." But mindset is such a critical part of the equation that I just wanted to make this video for you. I've had a couple of people reach out to me recently, and they're telling me certain things about they have a full-time job and what their plan is, and I look at their comments and I say to myself, they ain't just gonna make it. They are not prepared for the task at hand. They're not prepared for the battle that needs to be fought, and it's sad. It is sad. I don't want you to have the same thing. I don't want you to suffer the same consequences, and that's really the reason why I decided, let me just take out the camera. Let's just have a conversation about that, because you got to be prepared for the task at hand. And if you're not, you're just wasting your time, and you're never going to be able to leave that full-time job, and you're going to be stuck 10 or 15 years from now. You're going to be doing the same thing you've always been doing and wondering what would have been like if things would have been different. And I want that to happen to you. Hey, do me a favor. Tell me, what is your biggest mindset block right now that you need help with? And maybe we can do some additional videos on that. And make sure to subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, and I look forward to us having another conversation soon.